When it comes to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, there is never any shortage of debate over the status the films have earned among comic book fans and movie fans alike. But one thing that seems to ring true in any circle of fandom is that 2004's Spider-Man 2 is a standout film in the continuous and ever-expanding universe of Marvel characters in live-action cinema. The absolute smash hit that was Sam Raimi's Spider-Man ignited audiences' sense of wonder for what was possible on the big screen, and of course the $825 million global income would secure Raimi's seat at the helm for the sequel. The second installment of the web-swinging Boy Next Door would of course come with the immense pressure of building off of the well-received first entry, while also having its own drama with the studio, the crew, and the stars behind the scenes. But the main question: does it hold up against today's impossible superhero movie standards? Find out in today's episode of Marvel Revisited. Spider-Man 2 is a direct follow-up to the first film and picks up the story with Peter Parker still living in New York and moonlighting as Queens web-spinning vigilante. The film develops Peter's personal life and storyline, as well as Spider-Man's growth into popularity and infamy. Spidey's power and will to do good will be challenged when Peter's role model and mentor, Dr. Otto Octavius, turns evil and plots to destroy the city as Dr. Octopus. We see returning fan-favorite characters, callbacks to the previous movie, and of course some of that delicious Sam Raimi camp mixed with state-of-the-art technology. Originally titled The Amazing Spider-Man, the movie was given a chunky budget of $200 million and was originally set to feature a Dr. Octopus that was closer to Peter's age and have him as a secondary romantic interest for Mary Jane. After the script underwent a rewrite from Sony hire Michael Chabon, we ended up with a more mature Doc Ock with more of an Uncle Ben style bond with Peter. Raimi stated that he wanted to focus this film on Peter's battle to manage getting what he wants in his personal life and also living up to the responsibility as Spider-Man. At its core, the film raises one question: can we have it both ways? And of course, this is classic Spider-Man. But do you know what you definitely can have both ways? JoBlo videos. Make sure you like and subscribe for the absolute best in movie content. Despite having a 3-film contract, Tobey Maguire almost didn't return for this movie after sustaining a back injury during the filming of the drama Seabiscuit and was replaced by lookalike actor Jake Gyllenhaal. There's been reports and rumors that this was mostly a ruse for Tobey to get more money for playing the now iconic character, and I don't know. But even if that was the case, it did get Tobey a raise with some help from a connection he had at Universal, and Gyllenhaal would have to wait well over a decade to get a chance to shine in a Spider-Man film when he portrayed Mysterio in the divisive Spider-Man Far From Home. We do also see the return of Kirsten Dunst as MJ, James Franco as Harry Osborn, and Rosemary Harris as Aunt May, who is yet again a standout performance in this movie. The villain casting for this movie was critical, as the first film gave us the iconic performance of Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, and that's a lot to live up to. Actors like Christopher Walken, Chris Cooper, and Ed Harris were considered for the role. Ultimately, the decision to hire Alfred Molina came from Raimi's fascination with his performance opposite Salma Hayek in Frida. This casting was bold, as Molina was unfamiliar with the character prior to the casting, but this performance was easily one of the best we've ever seen when it comes to comic book movie villains. Molina states that while he wasn't initially familiar with the character of Doc Ock in the comics, he found that the character did have a very cruel sense of humor, and he wanted to incorporate that into his performance.
Has anybody lost a large roll of $20 bills in a rubber band? Because we found the rubber band.
The movie opens with a title credit scene that doubles as a recap of the previous movie. We get visuals from the last movie that show us Spidey's origins, his friendship and romance with Harry and MJ, Uncle Ben, Gobby, the works. Of course, Peter is living that Peter Parker life and struggling to stay afloat. After deciding not to be with MJ in the last movie, he's still not in contact with her and is keeping his distance from Harry after the death of Norman. Aunt May is struggling to make ends meet and is at risk of losing her home after the tragic loss of Ben. Meanwhile, Peter's life as Spider-Man has also seen better days, as Peter is sporadically losing his powers at unpredictable times. However, life doesn't seem all bad for Peter, as he's found a mentor and friend in Dr. Otto Octavius, a charismatic scientist with a heart of gold whose work on fusion energy is being funded through Harry Osborn and Oscorp.
Happy to pay the bills, Otto.
Otto's life and career is seemingly the exact blueprint for what Peter wants out of his life: a meaningful job, a beautiful wife, and a clear sense of purpose with no duality. The movie reminds us of the message of the first one: with great power comes great responsibility. We see Peter's personal desires for a comfortable life conflict with his overwhelming responsibility to selflessly serve as a hero to those who need him. Otto represents what Peter wants personally. At first. After an accident during Otto's demonstration of his solar fusion technology, Otto is left permanently fused with his AI and mechanical tentacles he created, which allow him 4 extra limbs and a whole lot of loose screws. Doc Ock is now evil and on the warpath to finish the machine and generate the power of the sun to be controlled by him. We see the return of J. Jonah Jameson, played again by J.K. Simmons. This fan favorite character is back and wittier than ever in this movie, and I just can't help but grin every single time he pops up in these films. Speaking of Jonah, his son, an astronaut named John Jameson, became engaged to Mary Jane, who Peter reluctantly broke things off with in Spider-Man 2002. This sends Peter into a spiral downward as he lost his powers and has chosen to give up the mantle of Spider-Man, giving us the most comic book accurate shot in this entire movie. Sam Raimi gives us the hilarious raindrops are falling on my head sequence, which showcases Peter enjoying the spoils of being selfish. It's campy and cheesy and wonderful and really breaks up the otherwise very emotional story. Now able to focus on life without the pressures of being Spider-Man, Peter is free from the great power that gave him such great responsibility. Peter obviously wastes no time trying to make things work with Mary Jane, and then we get the iconic cafe window scene. This scene was actually used as the first promotional shot that we saw for the new movie, and I still remember the teaser and seeing it in this epic slow motion shot with all the spectacle that fans were hoping to see. It was just so good. It was so good. And just like that, Spidey is back. So Pete realizes that the ones he loves will always be in danger as long as he's in their lives. Spider-Man battles it out with Dr. Octopus, and the train fight scene is yet another iconic moment from these movies that is insanely recognizable to audiences. They even ripped it off in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I found hilarious. Spider-Man is now being challenged in every way possible, and that is what makes this rewatch so easy to get through. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is a worthy adversary both physically and mentally. This villain is akin to Mr. Freeze in the classic episodes of Bruce Timm's Heart of Ice from the Batman animated series. It really gives us an empathy for this villain and kind of begs the question if they're even a villain at all. There's also a moment around this part of the movie that I really enjoyed despite never noticing it before. Just before Otto breaks into the bank and starts causing havoc, Peter's spider senses finally kick back in and he quickly kicks Aunt May's chair out of the path of destruction. It's so subtle, but this little embellished kick really adds a layer of panic and intensity to this scene, and believe it or not, I think it even adds some value to Tobey Maguire's overall performance. From here, it is the final act, and Spider-Man, now back to full power, seeks Harry's help to locate Doc Ock and save the city from falling victim to the artificial sun Doc Ock has generated. Harry doesn't want to help Peter at first, but MJ being in the mix of the chaos really sways him one way or the other. Now, the final battle of this movie is great. See, the movie gives us a lot of big action set pieces in the middle of the film, and that fulfills the audience's desire to watch our spandex Spider-Man kick some ass. But in the last fight of this movie, Spider-Man's strength, his agility, his speed, and his ability to crack jokes won't save him. His power, his gift, is meaningless. So at the last minute, before certain doom for an entire city, Spider-Man takes a back seat and Peter Parker steps up to save the day. Revealing his secret identity to Otto, Peter attempts to remind him of the man that he was before this creation. He helps Otto find empathy in the final minutes before he sees his life's work come to fruition. Otto sees the good in Peter and is able to overpower the AI controlling him for a split second with just enough time to drown himself and his work in the river, effectively saving the city. Mary Jane learns that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and accepts that the two can never be together. Again. We also get a teaser for Harry Osborn becoming the Goblin when he sees a vision of Norman and finds the Goblin lair where all of Norman and Green Goblin's equipment reside. And I know how much we all love where this one's headed.
Look at little Goblin Jr. gonna cry?
Rewatching this movie makes it clear that Sam Raimi's vision for the character had scale, scope, and depth that makes these movies a staple in any film collection. As with the first film, the use of spider-cam technology allowed for creative photography during the filming and capturing impossible swinging shots throughout New York's urban landscape. The use of practical effects to create the Doc Ock tentacles and realistic set pieces make this movie look current and modern despite being almost 20 years old. The visual effects are very tight and neatly done as well, minus a few rubbery CGI sequences found in some of the more impossible shots, of course. The movie's VFX supervisor, John Dykstra, stated that his goal was to have the very worst shot in this movie look as good as the very best shot in the last movie. Honestly, in terms of visual effects, he may have pulled it off. This movie looks good. The story is well written, the jokes are funny, the emotional moments are heavy, and the brilliant performances from the cast make the movie stand out among hundreds of comic book films. The movie did go on to win an award for Best Visual Effects at the 2004 Academy Awards, and that is quite an accomplishment, seeing as it's still pretty rare to see comic book movies break into the Academy, especially in the early 2000s. Fans seem to agree as well, as the movie opened up in theaters on June 30th, 2004 to a box office opening of $40 million on the first day. This was a record for the time, and the money just kept on rolling in until the film finished its lifetime box office with over $780 million in global ticket sales. Critically, the film was very well received and still holds a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, if you care about that sort of thing, and many fans across the world consider this to be one of the best comic book movies ever made. And you know what? It's hard to disagree, honestly. Roger Ebert even said that this was the best superhero movie since the modern genre was launched with Superman 1978. The movie offers us a deeper understanding of Peter Parker while delivering higher stakes, more thrills, and cutting-edge cinematography. In revisiting it, there's even more excitement in the long-awaited and terribly kept secret of Tobey Maguire's return as Spidey in the Tom Holland and MCU-led Spider-Man No Way Home. Comparing to the previous Spider-Man film, which is a lot of fun to rewatch, this movie improves on every single element but never once loses touch with its message. I definitely recommend going back through this one if you have the time and you're in the mood for some entertaining and comics-accurate Spider-Man stuff. This movie would go on to see a video game spin-off, plans for multiple sequels, and millions of dollars for the studio. But with great studio power comes great studio responsibility, and for Sony, that can mean anything from the beloved Spider-Man 2 to the not-so-beloved Morbius. And as they do in the business, Sony wanted to beef up the next installment with even more action, even more drama, and even more villains. But was that any good? I mean, did it work out? I guess we'll have to find out next time on Marvel Revisited. We'll see you later.